Despite the creative vision, earnestness, and effort invested, girly media is often not taken seriously, and we on this channel are here to overcompensate for that. Welcome friends to a new series where I intend to go through nostalgic Barbie classics, discussing their plots, soundtracks, and the works that inspired them with a little more sincerity than the occasion probably calls for. We're starting off with Barbie in A Christmas Carol, and if this is out after Christmas Day, no it isn't. Christmas is until the 6th of January. Let's start with the plot. Barbie in A Christmas Carol opens on Barbie as herself searching for Shelley. It's Christmas Eve, and the sisters must attend a charity ball raising funds for a hospital. Shelley, however, wants to spend Christmas Eve as usual, merry amongst family, eating and drinking and enjoying presents. Barbie begins to tell her the story of Eden Starling, an opera singer and darling of Victorian-era Covent Garden. Eden is beautiful, talented, and very self-centered, living by the motto, "In a selfish world, selfish people succeed," as taught to her by her domineering Aunt Marie. Eden demands constant attention from the mistreated workers at her theatre and expects their gratitude for the opportunity to work with herself. Catherine Beatnell, her costume designer and dear childhood friend, tells the haughty Eden that it saddens her to see her like this. That night, Eden is visited by the ghost of her Aunt Marie, who tells her that she was wrong to teach her such things, and that Eden must change her ways before it is too late. Eden and Chuzzlewit must expect 3 visitors. The ghost of Christmas past is the first to visit and takes Eden to the last Christmas of her bleak childhood. Aunt Marie is forcing Eden to keep working through Christmas, but Eden sneaks out on Christmas Eve to visit the Beatnells, who treat her like a daughter. Catherine and Eden put on a show to delight the visitors. Just then, Aunt Marie appears at the door and ruins the celebration. Eden, forced back into the present, tells the ghost that she regrets nothing, and if it hadn't been for Aunt Marie's influence, she would never have had the success, fame, and prosperity she has now. Eden has long been suspecting Catherine of cheating on her by working for another diva. The ghost of Christmas present shows Eden how much the workers of her theatre resent her, even Catherine. Eden and the ghost follow Catherine through her Christmas Eve, from Eden's theatre to the location of her other show. Catherine has indeed been working for others. She has been helping an orphanage put on a Christmas show. Eden is humbled to find that though Catherine may be resentful of her, she only speaks the best of her to the children of the orphanage, passing on her assumed Christmas greetings. Amongst the children, there is one Catherine herself intends to adopt, who in looks and talent is much reminiscent of Eden. But Eden learns that the orphanage is on the brink of dissolution. Not far from now, all these children will be left to the streets. The ghost of Christmas future shows Eden that she fires all her workers on Christmas Day for coming in late, and Catherine is forced to look for work outside of town. When she returns for Tammy, it is too late. Meanwhile, Eden finds out that the replacement workers of her theatre are not as tolerant of her as Freddie, Maurice, and the twins, and their petty revenge is to cost her her career. In the future, Eden is poor and desolate, alone on Christmas Eve. She decides to visit Catherine, who is now an extremely successful seamstress with her own fashion house in London. Despite the way things ended between them, Catherine greets Eden as her old friend. But Catherine is much changed, and both Edens are horrified to find that she has become a tyrant, not unlike herself. Catherine tells the future Eden that thanks to her example, she has learnt that caring leads to hurt, and it is much better to focus on yourself. In a selfish world, selfish people succeed. Eden tries to tell Catherine that she had been wrong to think that way, and that Catherine must not repeat her mistakes. But Catherine is immovable. She will not be helping the impoverished Eden. Nevertheless, Catherine offers Eden a scarf so that she may at least be warm on the way home. Eden is horrified by what the future holds for the both of them. She begs the ghost of Christmas future for another chance to put things right. On the morning of Christmas present, Eden's workers are bewildered when she tells them all to leave the theatre at once, and offers each of them a gift and a holiday bonus. She tells the astonished Catherine that she wishes to go see the show at the orphanage with her, and if it is acceptable, that she would like to spend Christmas with her and her family. Eden, with her immense wealth, saves the orphanage and learns to never be self-centered again, and Catherine and Eden spend every Christmas together, forevermore. Inspired by the story, Shelley is ready to attend the charity ball and donate something of her own. Barbie in A Christmas Carol is inspired by, drumroll please, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I say inspired by and not based on because beyond borrowing the trope of the 4 visiting ghosts, Barbie in A Christmas Carol isn't really an adaptation of the 1843 novella. Dickens' story is about Ebenezer Scrooge, who shares but his initials with Eden Starling, a cold businessman who is visited by the ghost of his business partner on Christmas Eve and forced to confront his past, present, and future. Dickens wrote the story right in time for the Victorian Christmas revival. When Prince Albert married Queen Victoria in 1840, he brought his German Christmas understanding and traditions with him, and as everyone likes to emulate the royals, they were quick to spread. Charles Dickens too was a fan of Christmas, with the holiday featuring in many of his works. Another theme important to the writer had been the lot of the impoverished working class, hence the themes of festive generosity and the overcoming of selfishness in A Christmas Carol. Barbie's version of the festive tale features another reference to Dickens's work. Chuzzlewit, Eden's self-serving but lovable cat, is named for Martin Chuzzlewit, the titular character in the novel that first began to be published on New Year 1843. And it is also no coincidence that Catherine is named Beadnell, just like Dickens's first love, Maria Beadnell. Despite it being a very loose adaptation in every other way, there is one element Barbie in A Christmas Carol borrows from the original that is, in my opinion, a little bit to the detriment of its story. A big theme in Dickens' story is charity and generosity, with opening, in part, to Ebenezer Scrooge refusing to donate for the poor, and ending with his making a large anonymous donation. Obviously, the Barbie version also has this theme, with the charity ball that Shelley finds such a bore, the orphanage in need of rescue, and Eden's general ungenerous feelings towards her workers. But Barbie in A Christmas Carol is not about Eden learning to become generous and giving. It's about her learning how much Catherine means to her. I remember as a child not really liking this story and thinking that Eden decides to change her ways and start being nice to people just because she does not want to end up poor. But in reality, Eden's entire story orbits around her relationship with Catherine. From her childhood, we learn that Catherine and her family were the light of Eden's miserable life and treated her almost like a daughter, a kindness that even adult Eden acknowledges without entitlement. Even when she is at her most self-centered, Eden is seen to be thinking of Catherine in her own completely misguided and unjustified way, having chosen to work with her childhood friend, instead of any other seamstress. Eden is again and again humbled for her ungenerous assumptions about Catherine, when Catherine tells her sister, though she is angry with her, no matter what, she cannot hate Eden, and when Eden sees that Catherine has allowed Eden to be an idol for the orphans. I think Tammy plays a part here, as she gets a big reveal scene. Now realistically, Tammy looks the way she does just because she is the Shelley doll, but we're here to overanalyze, and in the context of the story, in my opinion, it's meaningful that she looks like Eden. Despite her mistreatment, Catherine is still thinking about her. In the future, even at her worst, Catherine also still loves Eden, happy to see her after all these years. Future Catherine forces Eden to really see herself for the first time reflected back to her, something no other person in her narrative could force her to do. When Eden tells the ghost that she cannot believe that Catherine is acting like this, it echoes the moment when Catherine tells Eden at the start she regrets seeing her like this. I think that is what makes such a sudden transformation work, because it is not about Eden acquiring a new set of values overnight, but about her becoming aware of her love that has always been there under her self-absorption. Of course, this film being from the same year as Diamond Castle, you can interpret that love as platonic or not, especially as Eden is one of the very few Barbie protagonists to not have a male love interest. In my opinion, the film itself is getting confused about all of this. with Barbie telling Shelley the story of Eden seemingly to convince her that giving to those in need must come before her own self-centered desire to spend Christmas just as she likes it, when this has not really been Eden's story at all. That's not to say she doesn't also learn to become caring and generous, but it is not the main theme. So when the message is being delivered, it becomes unfocused, when I think the theme of friendship central to this story is surprisingly stirring and should be the emphasis. I think that Barbie in A Christmas Carol would have been better positioned had it opened on Shelley having a conflict with a friend, not unlike Stacy in Barbie and the Diamond Castle. Well, that was it for the first episode of Overanalysing Barbie. A Christmas Carol is a weird one in the Barbieverse, for diverging so much from the typical Barbie aesthetics, for starring an unaffectionate heroine, and for having a comparatively limited release. Perhaps it is not the first thing that comes up when you think of Barbie classics. Nevertheless, on review, I found this story surprisingly sweet and affirming of female friendship. I do hope you enjoyed this new type of video from me. Do let me know what you think of the format, and of course, tell me what Barbie film you'd like us to look into next. All the best for the new year from me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
Opera